everyone, and welcome back to a special edition of Camp MeadowView with a slightly smaller cast, at least for the first half hour or so. My name is Lex. My pronouns are they, she, and I have been the MC slash keeper slash storyteller, whatever you'd like to call me, for the story, and I will be helping kind of run the Q&A session tonight so that we can kind of get through this good long list of questions that we got from people. Um, let's go around the virtual table and introduce ourselves. Uh, I'll ask you guys who wants to go first.
Should we go alphabetical?
Sure. I think
Oh God,
that's going
that
to
means
be Juicy first.
yeah. Okay. Hi, I'm Juicy Garland, Boston area drag queen and super nerd. I played Howie, the fairly paranoid conspiracy nut kid, and it was great.
Then it's Rosie.
Is he paranoid if he's right?
No.
Hi, I'm Rosalie Mulligan. You can please feel free to call me Rosie. I am a cast member on Tabletop Tailspinners Network Magnificence. I doing other stuff now, I guess. I played Chloe. She is, to this day, literally just a girl.
And Ross.
Hi, everybody. There's a garbage truck outside, so if you hear that, that's what that is. My name is Ross. My pronouns are he, him. I'm the game master and editor, co-host of Blades of Mayari. We are a Filipino-Canadian-led actual play podcast inspired by pre-colonial Filipino mythology. And I played RJ. Also, his childhood nickname was Ricky or Rico. And he is a Filipino kind of rough and tumble, straight out of juvie guy who knew how to cook and had some juicy secrets.
My secret?
Oh, well,
Yes.
there were many secrets.
It was on the board.
Yeah.
He saw through the fourth wall.
Yeah.
That was one of his powers.
We will be joined a little bit later by Taylor, who played Imani, the monstrous, and unfortunately, Melody is still unable to join us due to some ongoing personal issues. However, I did reach out to her and was able to get some answers to some of the questions that were posed tonight, so we still get some of Melody's and Bethany's insight to some of the story. All the luck to her in terms of feeling better and doing better right now. So no worries. We're all very hopeful that she's feeling better soon. All right. So let's start with a really good one. What was everyone's favorite scene in the series? Just jump in if you've got an answer.
I can go. I think it was the first time that Howie met Jordan. Because it was just because I was thinking back on how the relationships develop by the end of it, and I was going through my checklist of tween relationships, and then that really I had a hard green check mark in that box of awkward and trying to figure it out and a little bit of panic and just that love or at least interest at first sight, and it was so it's hard because with podcasts, or we're used to at Blaze Mari just an audio format, so it's always hard to communicate those moments. But this was my first live stream, and being able to see that, I remember there's a point where I was I think Lex, you asked, oh, so what's Chloe and Bethany and RJ doing? And I'm like, I forgot we're playing. I was just kind of watching that moment.
Yeah, but I had never played on camera before I started doing podcast stuff, and I didn't think it would make as big of a difference as it does.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. Well,
I will say that Melody said that was also her favorite scene. So verbatim from what she said, my favorite scene would have to be when Howie meets Jordan at the library. It was so fucking cute and awkward, and I loved it, and just
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I think mine was when we were all hanging out in the kitchen for the first time, and Bethany just asked Dark Debbie if she was menopause.
Well, yeah, she's the screenshot of all of our reactions to that was so good.
Impeccable, hilarious. But I thought it was a really good, like, that was kind of when I felt like we clicked as a team in that moment, I
Yeah,
guess.
definitely.
I really loved just the mental image of Howie stirring the eggs and Chloe everybody going through all the cabinets together, and Bethany is just literally washing dishes. It was just so good.
It
Yeah.
really defined everyone's character and their personality and how they were going to
Yes.
interact. That
Yeah,
really
yeah,
set
yeah,
our
yeah.
tone.
I really
Yeah.
think that was, like you said, it was a perfect moment that set the tone and really made it clear you guys have very distinct characters and you've all thought through kind of what their personalities really are beyond what the playbooks were. And so you were like, what would Howie be doing? And Juicy, you were like, he wouldn't quite get that they were just putting on a show. He would actively be doing this, but not really doing it well. He would just be
Doing
like
something useless.
Yeah.
doing
Oh,
something
no.
useless, but it's something. And RJ is still actively making the quesadillas and all the other food and like multitasking and doing what he's done for most of his life, which is keep on carrying on during tough
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
And I thought that was a really great moment.
Yeah, my favorite scene was RJ reading out the letter.
Yes.
That was a
Oh, yeah, with
really,
Taylor.
really like vulnerable moment. And like your performance was so good and it was captivating. And I loved becoming an audience member at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Is really what it was. It was great.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's a tough one. It's like, I guess it like depends on what school of acting you come from. Like, do you embody the moment, or do you like reflect on it and try and like represent that moment that you've seen and like viewed in the world? And it was like a mix of both, because I was trying to pull from experiences and thoughts and words that I would say to family members, but then also I'm like, actually, I'm gonna pause here because it's more interesting. Like it adds more drama, and just like I highly recommend for those who are like interested in starting acting, or starting a podcast or doing TTRPGs, to like think of things as like an editor, to be like, okay, well, what would make it a little bit more interesting here, or what could I do to like this performance to change it in some way. And like that just makes, at least from how I was able to like catch up, I suppose, is exactly that. But at the same time, now I'm, even in those moments, I'm like editing it, and it's it's
It
this back
never
and forth.
ends and it'll never be
Yeah.
perfect.
It's so interesting. You think about it so differently than I do.
Yeah, I think that's
Y'all
what's
think
so
about
great. Yeah.
Taylor has joined the chat. Hello, Taylor.
Hi.
You're on the first question, so you've missed absolutely nothing. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
feel
Hi,
free to
everyone.
introduce yourself and tell us who you played, even though the name is right underneath you. But go for it.
Oh yeah. I'm Taylor. aka Spunky Taylor. I played Imani, your good old local demon. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we are currently again on question one. What was everyone's favorite scene in the series? We've gotten call outs to Howie meeting Jordan at the library, the first scene with everybody in the kitchen where everybody was like, I don't know how to interact or pretend I'm doing things, so I'm just gonna act weird, along with Bethany's menopause joke, and then a call out to Ross's amazing letter from his mom, from RJ's mom. So, what was your favorite moment in the show?
It's like y'all took all my favorite moments.
I know.
But I was like, I love the driving scenes, like everyone arriving into camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was a good one.
It was
Pushing
a
the
really
car.
strong start.
It was
Yeah.
a very strong start of connecting everyone.
I had to
Yeah.
catch
Yeah.
up with the fact that like all of you guys put in so much effort on like the character side. I was like, God damn, I gotta really like give you guys a proper intro here, because otherwise
Yeah.
it's a disservice to these characters you've all made. Um, I would say that for myself, one of my favorite moments. It's there's so many moments that were just amazing. I think just the moments where it made me question everything
Mm.
in the sense of you catching me off guard. So, for example, Juicy, when you decided to
I knew you were about to say that.
the Lynxody monster, the hybrid coyote and lynx. After the stream, somebody asked, "Was that something we had planned?" And it was not. It was something that
Right.
Juicy as Howie decided they needed to do, and it was so not something I was anticipating because who would? I had no way of predicting that. Up until that moment, there was no talk of let's summon it, let's trap it, anything. So it came from nowhere, and I loved it.
It seemed so obvious to me.
Juicy, I remember you saying after that session, like, yeah, before we started playing today, I looked at it and I went, oh yeah, weird is actually a stat that you do things with and not just a personality trait.
Yeah.
And like in that same game, like I think 3 times people mentioned using magic, and I was like, wait, I built this character to be able to do this.
Yes. But you've been playing him as the least magical person out there.
I think that
RJ's the least magical.
Yeah, definitely. But like that, I think that's great because like I think it's such an interesting, even if it was accidental, like to build a character for a specific thing, and then to role play your way into that speciality is so cool. Because like then we got the Jordan Crystal mind reading moment, right? Like
And that was something I hadn't
it's so
planned
great.
at all either. I just was like, nope, no idea. It was so
Totally.
random, and just being able to narrate those really random moments of, okay, what kind of bullshittery can we figure out here to make this look cinematic in our minds, but also do justice to what you're trying to do. So those were my favorite moments. So there were a lot of them.
Yeah.
And
if I
you
can
guys all
brag
did a
on
good job with
Juicy
it.
for one more second on that magic thing, it was also the way you had Howie do it by he just happened to stumble on shit that actually worked. Howie didn't just suddenly manifest superpowers for no reason. He just happened to find things that actually worked.
Right?
Yeah.
And I love that
Yeah.
so much.
And I love that at the last episode, you're like, he gets a grimoire just casually. And I'm
Yeah.
like, got it.
I
Okay.
got so.
Well, that's what the book was, really.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
I just thought it was hilarious
Yeah.
that was how we did it. You were like literally 20 minutes before stream. You were like, "What if I get a grimoire?" And I was like, "You know what? Let's do it. Why not?"
Yeah.
All right. So that actually brings me to another question that was brought up. How prevalent are magical powers supposed to be in the world of this game? At the beginning, it seemed like only Bethany had any powers, and even then, impressions were mixed. Maybe it was real, or maybe she was just spooky, but as the story progressed, more of the group seemed to get powers. So, I'm not big on the Monster of the Week lore, so maybe people who played it more than I have can answer to this more, but I was also, when I was planning the game, trying to think of how do we explain magic in a world that doesn't seem to be inherently magic. And I had plans that would explain all of that, but then I just decided it was getting too deep into it for a mini series.
You know what, though?
Just-
Like, the WB series shows never bothered to explain the why.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
That's
Buffy,
true.
no one ever comes along and says, here's how magic works. And, like, only the people involved in the main story have access to those powers. No one else does, unless they become part of the main story.
I was like,
Yeah.
It's not like
look
the
at
counselors.
I was like, look at season 2 and above of Riverdale.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody
Yeah,
come on,
true.
that's the biggest example of that.
So in my
Yeah.
mind, when I was like way back before we were even cast and I was writing things, I had it planned that the aliens, they had some like basically toxic waste or some fumes that were being let off by their ship or by their station, and that was causing mad things that appeared to be magic to start to happen. Because I was like, that's how I explain it in my mind, and then I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get all the way into it unless this cast is so willing to be railroaded to the nth degree, and that's not fun for anybody. So I had it in the back of my mind where I was like, if somebody asks, that's my answer, but also it's for fun. So
well, and Imani did have stuff in the first episode. She
You
just
didn't know
didn't
it.
really use it.
Yeah.
right?
That's great. Because, like, the thing with Imani is that the whole purpose of her thing was just to be looking hot.
Yeah.
Was just like that was her main purpose, was just to look hot and different and all
To
that
feel
jazz.
the validation, right?
Feeling the validation. There's like she wasn't like seeking like I want super strength and stuff. That was just a plus and
Yeah.
stuff and all that jazz. That was just demon and stuff because like the way that Imani got the demon person because she got exposed to the internet and found a book at the local library by looking at the forums and then did a whole ritual in
So I
the
think what
basement of
we've
the
learned
library.
here is that in this version of the world, there's a grimoire in every single library, just one.
Just one.
But you just have to find it.
Yeah.
That does make sense. Like that for
Only
world
in the
building,
small
yeah.
towns. Only in small towns.
Only in small
Yeah.
towns in the middle of nowhere where they can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
there brings us to a question for you, Taylor. Where'd it go? I just had it. Get a little list. Did Taylor's amazing makeup skills influence how she would play Imani, or did Imani influence how Taylor would get ready every night? Parentheses, love the horns in all caps.
It all depend on the table. How I would do the next episode. Like as you guys saw, I looked normal the first episode. Episode 2, you guys discovered the red eyes. After that, technically, I had pointy ears, but I couldn't do my Bluetooth headphones at the moment in time, so I would have done pointy ears. And then I had breast skin to discover breast skin on the last episode. So it all depends on you guys. What y'all discover every episode is what I influenced my outfit the next time.
Oh, that's a cool choice.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that was an
Yeah.
awesome thing. I
Yeah.
know that Taylor and I at the beginning we had conversations about how Imani would transform through the series and kind of trying to help facilitate moments that you guys would see Imani change in her appearance.
Yeah.
So
It-
yeah,
I think it's a really cool like mechanic for yourself because like stories where characters don't change at all are very boring. They're I don't know if I would say that they're not worth telling, but it's not interesting. There's no dynamism to it. So like if it's a challenge for you, then like having them physically transform or transform over time is such a cool way to remind yourself to be like, okay, things are happening to my character. How are they
Mhm.
reacting to it? Like, yeah, I thought that was really, really awesome.
on the same vein, Taylor, would you make the same deal Imani did?
No.
Person who asked said that they would.
Well, she's already hot, so.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's that. So I mean, you're
I was
not.
like, I would love to meet my sugar mommy, but I probably
Yeah,
wouldn't
but
make a
you
deal.
sure you want to go out and collect souls and
No, I wouldn't
do all
collect
that?
souls. I just want to meet her. That's it.
Fair,
Like
fair.
that's the only benefit.
Oh yeah.
In the two right there. I just want to meet her.
All right. Question for me was, what were my inspirations for the story, and was there anything I planned that I didn't get to use? So there were things that I had planned way back, and then I realized when I starting learning to GM Monster of the Week that it was too much for this level of a show. I had a lot of other cryptids kind of mixed in. I did have a Mothman little arc because mixture of moth and man. And I had like other little things that I was just gonna kind of include, either passively or as um, active mysteries. Inspirations. So Camp Meadowview itself is the physical appearance of it is based off of a camp that I went to multiple times as a kid, a Girl Scout camp that I went to in Rhode Island. And yeah, so anybody who knows Rhode Island Girl Scout camps probably knows exactly where I went to camp now because there's probably I think one that's a sleepaway camp, but it is what it is. So it's based off of that, and the idea of having the idea that I had overall was really it started with the idea of campfire stories and the scary stories that we tell kids when they're going to camp about what can go bump in the night and try and freak them out. And I was trying to think of like originally I was like basically if aliens came to this world and went those are real, why aren't they around anymore? We got to bring them back. You know, basically somebody trying to bring back these quote unquote extinct species of creatures. Um, but then it kind of evolved where I was like, well, I got to make the aliens seem like they actually have some sort of bad skin in the game, and then it evolved from there. Um, so it kind of it spitballed a little bit as I was writing it, and it was definitely
I'm imagining
evolutionary.
the alternate plot line in which Howie teams up with the aliens to make his theories real.
Oh,
There's like a crossroad moment for sure.
yeah, and I want to make it clear I wrote this story well before anybody was cast, but especially Juicy. So the fact that Juicy came into that session 0 and went, so I'm thinking about playing a conspiracy theorist who has a board of a web of mysteries to figure out this conspiracy board, and then put on the conspiracy board half the things that I was including. I was like, God damn it, I can't change it now. I mean, I
The
tried to,
JFK
and then
assassination was one of those things that was already in the game, right?
yeah, I mean, it was already in real life, but okay.
That's
If you
Wait,
believe
that's
that,
real?
if you believe
Whoa, I thought it was. Whoa.
it.
Mind
We all know
blown.
that American history is all conspiracy theory. It's fine. Um,
Kind of is.
yeah, but yeah, so a lot of like I just genuinely was like, oh my god, and I almost changed the entire story because I was like, I needed not feed into this, and then I went, no, fuck it, I'm giving myself too much work for a
Totally.
story I already wrote, and I'm overcomplicating it. So yeah, there was a point. I know I'm rambling, but there's a point to this. Um, Ross drew all of the little logos for the camp that we have on different T-shirts and that we've been using in promos. He drew those really quickly, but he also drew something that people haven't seen other than us, which was the inverse or the blood
We
lake.
never used
yeah,
that.
we
That's
never
never
right.
used
The
it.
Blood Lake.
And
Yeah.
I sent Grant a message after Ross came out with that and went, I cannot wait to tell them that the upside down, like the inverse idea, was almost something I did. Where I almost had you guys go with like through the mirror, basically, like down the
Yeah.
rabbit
Oh.
hole. And
Yeah,
have you guys
yeah,
go
yeah.
into like a really fucked up fairy realm where you'd have to like really try and figure it out, and it would be a blood lake. And so that was all something that I almost did. But then I got way too into it, way too complicated with it, and was like, I already have something written. Save that for another story.
Yeah.
I'm imagining a sequel like 50 years down the road, and the Blood Lake is actually the second lake that we created.
Yeah, and Bethany's on the other side.
Bethany's on the other side.
Yes.
Bethany's not
Wait.
dead. Her
Totally.
spirit is just traveling around. Her body's
that
still
down.
there. Oh my
No,
god.
Bethany gets trapped on the other side of the Blood Lake, and Tabitha comes and gets us, and the gang has to get
Yeah.
back together
Oh
to
my
save
God.
And
Bethany.
Tabitha's like, the doll is wreaking havoc. And you're like, what are you talking about,
Talking about.
Tabitha? And it's, yeah, the
Oh
empty
my
Bethany.
god. Well, and that answered,
We're
I
writing
think,
your
one
next
of.
campaign for you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Hey, you know what?
I can't believe we announced season 2 live.
Right?
There we go. You know
Wow.
what, Grant? Wipe the schedule. Give me 2 months. I got it.
Thank you, Game Master Monday.
Yes,
Yeah.
seriously. Thank you, Grant, for letting us scorch your reputation of being punctual.
I can't wait to break the production budget again.
Was it always aliens, or did you originally have other plans? It was originally aliens. It wasn't always aliens, and then it changed, and then I came back to aliens, as I already kind of alluded to, where there were a lot of different things out there that crossed my mind because I jump around a lot in my head. Let's see.
I can relate.
Yeah.
Understandable.
How many cryptids were made by the Star Spawn, aka the alien? I did not name that. I am terrible at making names, so I just didn't name them. I was like, the aliens. Were any other cryptids available to show up? Already kind of mentioned
Spawn.
that. I do like that, the Star Spawn.
Or the Spawn Stars.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
I thought
so
of the
yeah, there
monster.
were other cryptids, other hybrid creatures that were in my back pocket, but mostly as like flavor, not so much as something for you all to fight. I figured once you kind of dealt with the one cryptid, that was enough to kind of keep you satiated for the aliens. Let's see. Back to
Yeah, it
you
was the right
guys.
balance.
Yeah, I tried.
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't want it to be because I had a feeling from talking with all of you that you guys all were really role play heavy, which is awesome. And I didn't want again to railroad you all into, you know, a dungeon crawl essentially.
Yeah, but I think there's the inverse is also kind of challenging, especially with a role play heavy
Yeah.
group where like I guess there's like two narrative archetypes. There's the path and there's the map, right? Like here's the path, here's a series of things that eventually you'll do, and maybe it forks or whatever. But there's a start and an end, and then there's the map where it's like here's all the cryptids, because like if you put a Bigfoot somewhere, I think none of the story would have continued. I think we
Oh,
would
it
have had
Not
to
wouldn't
at
go
have.
all.
and
Oh,
I
save
very
you
much
you
Howie
derailed
from the
me.
Bigfoot, right?
Shout out
I
to the very early idea Juicy had of thinking that Imani was a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
no,
I was so ready for that.
even before Juicy was cast, I was like, I'm not including Bigfoot. I was like, nope, it's not happening.
Cat. Yeah.
Because
Damn it.
Well, because it just seemed a little too on the nose for
Mhm.
the
Oh, no, that's
mountains of
Colorado.
really much
Colorado.
Yeah, totally.
And then Juicy joined the cast, and I was like, absolutely no Bigfoot. But I did almost do like a literal chupacabra, and then I went, but I can make something. Why wouldn't I just make something?
Yeah.
Um,
That's probably my favorite thing to do. Just like grab. I guess it depends on the system, but like if you're doing D&D, just grab a cobalt and be like, "Yep, it's a flying frisbee."
yeah,
That and then just use those
Yeah.
stats. And,
yeah. The first game that
like,
I won, first game of D&D that I made a one shot, like the first one that I made. I made all the stats for a flesh golem before I realized that a flesh golem exists
there
in
is one.
D&D.
Yeah.
So I made one. I think it was better than the original, but whatever. I'm
Totally.
biased.
Yeah.
All right, back on topic. Um, good question for everybody here. If you went to the real Camp Meadowview, what kind of camp kid would you be?
Oh, I already know this because I did camp as a kid, and I was 1000% a little Eddie Haskell. I had no friends my own age, and all I did was want to hang out with the old kids, and because it was church camp, the priests.
That's
Mm.
deeply disturbing on so many levels, but okay.
That was fine.
Sure.
I also did more church camp than like scout camps. I did both, but church camp was the only non-local one I went to. And I went almost every year up until I started high school. And the ones that I went to that were themed, I went to both of them twice. One was, preface, fuck turfs. I went to a Harry Potter themed one called Disciples or Muggles twice, and then I went to Mad Camp, which was music, arts, drama, and dance. Mad Camp. So absolutely fucking in the theater. Which is funny because I say that and I'm in this role play heavy group. First of all, hilarious that I am now known as like a role player because I'm GMing Witchlight right now. I added combat. That is the kind of GM I am. So, I love combat. I've lost. I actually did not do any acting up until 6 months ago, maybe 7 months ago. When it was January.
Just before Pantheon.
Yeah. So I
Like a
filled
little
out my
bit
first
before?
casting call in October.
Oh, wow.
And I got cast in a couple tabletop tail spinners things. We started recording Magnificence in January. I did a couple Improv Madness things before that, but not much. Like I'm very new to acting in general. The whole music, arts, drama, and dance thing, I was just for the music part. That was the only part of it that I really did.
You have band kid energy.
I was a band kid, correct. So if you can guess what instrument I was, I owe you a drink if we ever see each other IRL.
Clarinet.
I was gonna say clarinet too, or
I was gonna
trumpet.
say, oboe or something like that.
I see you
Drum?
as a drum
Were you a
kid.
drummer?
I was a flute.
Oh, you were
That was my
flouted.
second guess.
It was right.
So I
Okay.
It was a blowing
Ross
one.
and Taylor, what kind of camp kid would you have been?
I went to a lot of educational camps
Mm.
because my parents wanted me to be 2 grades ahead in my thinking skills every time. But I always had the arts in my heart, so I would probably would have been like the drama kid, like arts and crafts, theater, staying in the arts only energy. And I would love to go swimming, but I am black and I have to worry about my hair, so I couldn't go swimming.
Fair, fair.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I didn't do very many like sleepaway camps. The few that I did a sleepaway camp once, and then I became a counselor right after. So it's like I was that kid that like is probably too young to be a counselor, but he was that guy. And then the rest I did like basketball camps or paleontology camps. So like that, and that wasn't really a
Paleontology
camp.
camp?
That's
Dude, they were
awesome.
so
So
cool.
That's
They were at
sick
the
as hell.
university.
that sounds
Yeah,
so cool.
we got
My
to like
parents
look at
clearly hated
fossils
me.
and stuff. Yeah, it was great.
I
Like,
was
yeah, that's awesome.
I was a Girl Scout camper for the most part. Went to a couple of church camps, but mostly Girl Scout camp. Um, I was I can't really. I was kind of that kid that wanted to do everything, but was very mediocre at everything. Um, but I wanted to be good at it all. I just wasn't.
Mm,
So very much not even a jack of all trades, but I just kind of was there. Um, yeah, I really liked being at camp and doing that whole thing. I still to this day hate the smell of DEET in bug spray. So other
mm.
than that trauma, I'm good. Um, is what it is.
My
Let's,
siblings actually worked full time at a National Scout camp
that's
Oh,
awesome.
every summer when I was younger, and so I very much associate it with Teenage Boy BO. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah,
right.
since it was a
Same,
scout
same.
camp, since it was a Girl Scout camp, it was always all girls. And so if anything, it was just more like I just remember being very annoyed by the girls who, got upset that they broke a nail. I'm like, you're at camp.
Yeah, what do you what do you expect?
And
Yeah,
like
that's
then I
not
got
the
even
right
Your
time to
nails-
worry.
yeah, and then I would
Yeah.
get mad at the counselors. At one point, like somebody gave a kid a band-aid for a broken nail, and I'm like,
Broken nail.
it's not. And I remember I was like 11. I'm like, that's stupid. I was also that kid that I had like there was one kid that I didn't like this one year, and so I leaned on the bathroom door when she was in there and locked her in there. It was like my one villain thing that I really did.
Mm,
Unbeknownst to everybody, a snake had gotten into the bathroom while she was before she got in there, and so she's like wailing on the door, and I'm just being an asshole, and I like don't move. And then I eventually move out of the way, and there's this garter snake that had gotten into the bathroom, and I walked in
okay.
and having the confidence of a neurodivergent child who watched way too much Steve Irwin. Um, I walked in, grabbed the snake the way you're supposed to, like right behind the head, walked out, and like
Right.
tossed it into the woods. And a counselor got mad at me saying that I could have gotten bit, so they then went to move the snake, got bit themselves, and I looked at them and went, "Because you didn't grab it right." So
I need
that
that. I
was
need. Can we put that? Oh, GIF up. Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
no. I
That's
mean, at that point, I
amazing.
just was nobody like they just were like, "You shouldn't have grabbed it. You should have let an adult do it." And I was like, "But I got it right. I did it right. So it's okay. I got the snake out of the bathroom. It's fine." So that was
Incredible.
the kind of camp kid I was.
Mm,
Other than that, I was not an asshole. I can tell you that definitively.
nice.
All right.
That's a goal for everybody, I think.
Yeah,
That's a
don't
good
be an
goal.
asshole. I would
Yeah.
strongly discourage anybody from trying to lock people in bathrooms anywhere.
Agreed.
Not fair, not nice.
Reasonable, yeah.
She was really annoying though, and I was 11.
Some big
All right.
asterisks.
We all do that shit when we're 11.
Well, that's why I gave the preface if I was 11.
Yeah,
would
yeah,
not do
yeah.
that again. Let's see, what's next? Here's a good one. Russ, is there any lore reason why, of all places, RJ got assigned to Camp Meadowview for his community service? Was something pulling the strings to arrange that?
Yeah, it was RJ. So like we didn't really get into the lore of it, but after Queen Alvarez died, whole family moved out to California. With their Lola, just their grandmother, kind of being taking care of all the kids at that point. There are 7 of them, so like they had to like truck it out. And then the thought that RJ had tried to like uneloquently communicate the last episode was like everything he's tried to do in the last 8 years was to get back to the camp. So like, you know, getting into trouble, he got into juvie in Cali, realized that his sister was going back to Colorado to go to school, and he's like, perfect, I'm gonna go with you. And probably through the grapevine heard that there's this like volunteer program through the like youth detention. So they're like, perfect, I'm gonna do exactly that. He probably got into trouble so that he can toughen up. There was like a question on the wronged playbook of like why the let me pull it up so it's exact, but like something along the lines of like how do you feel about what happened to the person you lost, and is it your fault? Were you scared? Were you here it is. Why couldn't you save them? You were at fault, selfish, injured, weak, slow, scared, in denial, or complicit. Such a great like role play like question, and I put scared. So then it's like, okay, well, what's he gonna do to not be scared? He's just gonna throw himself into danger.
And
Um,
I
and
also I really have to commend you on this, Ross, because I think it was like after the second episode or even after the first one, I had written up after Ross joined the cast and had told me what his plan was for RJ. I had written up this lore of why why he was a target, essentially. Um, and I sent a lot of that to Ross just to be like, this is what that night when your mom died
mm,
would have looked like. And we made changes after that because you were like, I thought about what about changing the location or this or that. And
oh,
yeah, we changed it. But at the end of the day, I sent you what it was. And first of all, thank you for not metagaming it. Um, and second of all, you took it and you were like, this makes sense for. He was scared. He was what, 8 years old, seven,
yeah,
8 years old. Like, there's no way this kid would have seen this creature, this exploding tentacle bear, and been like, I'm gonna try and beat it. He would have been scared shitless. So
totally. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. And it's like the response of a because I remember being that age. I remember feeling that way, and you either, at least for me, a lot of times when I felt that way, I just got angry. So it's like, okay, cool. So if that's what RJ is gonna feel, then what's the consequence of that? And
yeah,
then I also put him as one sharp. Like he's a smart guy,
yeah,
not the sharpest tool in the toolbox, but like he could put one and one together, and he's like, all right,
Smarter than your average exploding tentacle bear. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
totally,
I
Exactly.
had to, I had to, I
Yeah,
had to make sure.
yeah.
I'm
I
so
mean, yes.
sorry.
I mean,
yeah, yeah,
yes. Um,
yeah. And it was just like, yeah, if I feel this way, I'm gonna do these things. How can I use this to get back to that camp? Because I need to figure out what happened. So yeah.
yeah. Let's see. There was something else that I saw here. Oh yeah. Follow up question to Ross. Does RJ become a full hunter?
Um, I don't think so. Because like that's not um it's like he's like the Schrodinger's hunter. Like he will be when he needs to be, but that's not what his mom's dying wish was, for him to like go have fun. And
That was something that
so
we kind of harped on with RJ, where we were like, "Go be a kid."
yeah, yeah,
Um,
from like all angles, that was something that was being requested of him, or like it was like the challenge. The challenge wasn't be a tough hunter and hunt monsters. It was love yourself and love life and be a kid
yeah,
and love that
yeah. I know
world
that
more.
like for a lot of kids at that age, hearing, "Hey, stop trying to be the parents," like in the best way possible. Like stop trying
Yeah.
to carry everyone and just let others carry you and take care and just have a good like live life.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
that's not a bad thing to go and live life. Like a lot of kids that age can benefit from it. And I think of all the characters, especially like RJ needed to hear that in the sense that he was parentified from a young age.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
needed
But
that.
I do like the idea that like the Haven wasn't burned
Yeah.
down, like that there was a contact in Denver,
Yep.
right? Like so there was always this path open to him, but he wanted to like be a sibling and you know fall in love, go to school, like
I think he needed
do the things
choices.
that he needed to.
He needs the choice.
I
Yeah, yeah,
love
yeah.
the idea of
Absolutely.
like some Monster Hunter recruiter coming out after him and he's like on a date. And he's like,
Like I
Yeah,
don't want
that's
to join the Arcane Vanguard. I've told you guys 5 times to discontinue the letters. Stop.
that would actually be a really cool. That would be a really cool situation where he's like, he's being like harried by people he can't talk about,
Yeah.
and it's
So there's a tension between really needing to get help and not being able to divulge everything.
totally, yeah,
mm-hmm.
That's a fun tension.
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna do some Chloe questions.
Oh, hi.
One, very quick question. What's up with Chloe's parents?
Okay, so I made myself really sad because I thought about it too hard. Chloe's parents are divorced. And what happened was the one summer she did go to camp. The reason they sent her was because they used that time to move her other parent out of the household. So she went to camp, had no idea what was going on, and came home, and one of her parents had moved out. And they actually live in 2 different towns. So Chloe has basically never been able to spend a lot of time with other kids outside of school. And that's part of why that like 1-2 weeks of summer when she was a kid is such a strongly held memory that she wants to go back to. Because when you're going back and forth between 2 towns, you don't really get to go to a lot of birthday parties. You don't really get to form, like, you don't get to go over to other people's houses a lot, that kind of stuff. So fun fact about me that I put into Chloe was that when I was 16, I got a job specifically so that I would have an excuse to not have to drive back and forth every other weekend. Because if I was scheduled, oh no, I can't go to my dad's house.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where that all came from. She's very lonely, frankly.
Bit of a more lighthearted question
Yeah.
for Chloe. Did Chloe and JFK ever get to the point where she could call her Johnny, or did she call her JFK for her whole goat alien life because it felt like she had a presidential air? That's a
Okay,
great
so
question.
in my brain, I was kind of, there was a point like half hour into like after we found out that JFK could shapeshift where I was like, what if she like pretended to be Chloe's little sister Joanna? And so I think if there were ever a point where JFK felt the need to be person shaped, it would be Joanna, I think.
Gotcha. I will say, if it wasn't made abundantly clear to the audience, I did not anticipate the goat being part of the alien.
Neither did I.
Yeah, so that was something that came about as they started working with this goat and insisting that the goat be an integral part of the story.
And I'm gonna be real,
Originally,
that was a moment of me having an insane, my Adderall has now worn off at this point in the session,
Yeah.
I should do this idea.
it was literally a text. It was a message of, "Hey, I've got a really crazy idea. What about this?" And I just went, "Okay." And I sent a text.
Well,
I sent a screenshot of it to Grant, going, "This is what I'm dealing with," and he went, "Oh my god."
well, actually, even in the first place, just being like, "Can we keep a goat?" That was me at the end of the session, just completely impulsively saying
Loved
that
it.
out loud.
Loved it. Yeah. Originally, so back on kind of the idea of where things came from originally, I always had the idea of kind of two like opposing alien forces at the end. So the old overall lore with the aliens, they were sent to Earth 300 years ago. There are multiple stations around the planet. This is not the only one, and their goal is basically to gather information on Earth wildlife. You guys are essentially a nature documentary. And so, like, I made a comment through one of the ghosts where the ghost says somebody should make a nature documentary about this, and it was a dig at the idea I had,
Mm.
where essentially they're supposed to be there. They weren't supposed to be observed. They're supposed to just kind of lie low. And then over time, one of them starts being like, well, we can really help these creatures when they get injured, when they get hurt. We can try to rehab them. And so that's where, people would go missing because they got injured in the mountains, or they would be attacked by the cryptids. And the aliens would try to rehab them and get them back to their natural habitat, which was wherever they're living. And some of them wouldn't make it, or some of them couldn't be released back into the wild because it wasn't safe for them anymore, given their injuries, all that sort of stuff. And there would be one that would be really interested, that was really interested in RJ's mom and Queenie Alvarez, but shit happened and it attacked her by accident, or not intending to, but it ended up attacking her. And that alien ended up getting very frustrated because after being noticed and being kind of identified as being a problem, all of their work was now being put into question, and they were being told, like, hey, you might not be able to leave this planet for another couple hundred years until you recoup the data that you may have tainted. And so they were just on a vengeance mission to get home. They're like, if I make enough trouble, just like RJ did, maybe I'll go back to where I want to go. Because they just wanted to go
love
home.
That.
I love and there would always be one that was like, no, we have to still be doing our job. Even if they're worried, we have to be above reproach. And that ended up being JFK. Originally, before JFK became a thing, a child would have been kidnapped or taken and would have been taken over by the nicer alien. Right. But you had another kid that was taken.
Just a different kid.
Just a different kind of kid.
Yeah.
I love it when villains have a very relatable, simple motivation that's then like made way more complex by the situation.
Well, and the fact that there's no way that this stuff would have come out unless you guys immediately went to this place at the beginning. So having it in the back of my mind the entire time, where I'm like, I can make jokes that only I know are going on.
Well, and it's so funny because the whole reason I took that move from the Pararomantic playbook, it was literally just, I've taken all the mundane moves I'm allowed to. What am I gonna do? Just like desperately flipping through the book, being like, what fits? And I saw that one and I went, oh shit, we can have a Black Phillip moment. Yeah. So I was fully expecting like evil corrupting JFK. When everybody was, when I was like, no, JFK would never do anything. That was fully me being like, JFK is totally evil. I knew it. I fully was like, JFK is gonna be a corrupting force.
JFK lured you into the woods because she thought that was the best way to kind of get a control for the study and be like, maybe this will get the other one to stop, and we can run our experiments in peace and we'll leave it alone. And then shit hit the fan and they went, oh fuck. But also, like, a moment that you guys didn't quite catch at all, I don't think, was following Bethany's or Melody's amazing menopause joke. Dark Debbie, who's the alien, goes, what is that? I don't know what that is. Indicating that it's not something that they really had looked into or understood what it meant.
They've only been observing children at that point.
They've been observing children and young adolescents or young adults. So it's not something that they necessarily would have thought about.
I didn't catch that. I'm going to blame Juicy because it was really funny for Howie to then repeat that question, and that took my entire attention.
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, that's something that I thought was really just comical, with you guys not knowing some of the story and never really knowing it. With Howie, we have the wonderful question of, where did it go? Can Juicy please explain the Howie conspiracy boards he was posting about on social media? 3 question marks.
Yeah, I can try. That much is certain. I actually have it up because I wondered if that would come out. So initially, I centered Howie on a few specific conspiracy theories I could kind of lean into. So I started with Bigfoot because the image of Bigfoot to me is just a goofy conspiracy theory, and it warms my cold little heart. And then I thought, what's a ridiculous conspiracy theory to latch onto? The JFK assassination is just the funniest conspiracy theory to me because A, it doesn't matter, and B, none of it makes sense. It's great. And then like aliens, just aliens with the guy with the bird hair, right?
Yeah.
That popped into my mind. So then, like on the board, I have Bigfoot at the center because that was like Howie's core conspiracy theory, linking out to other things. And I also wanted to put everybody in the cast on the board as well. So that's why everybody was there with like a dotted line to Howie because those were connections that would be made. And any dotted line was like theoretical, any solid line was confirmed. And eventually it
Right.
got more complicated over time, but the last episode really locked into place and added enough information to make this look bananas. It's just red strings everywhere. I love it.
amazing.
I love how almost all of us, of course, we never actually saw Ross and RJ and Imani's character sheets because they were being sneaky and keeping secrets from us, and I love them. But Juicy, Melody, and I all wrote our characters' impressions of each other on our character sheets before we even started the game. And so like Howie's was the conspiracy board. I had mine as like teen sitcom intros, and me, Chloe, smiley face kind of thing. So that was something really fun we did pre-game.
Yeah, the image of the board to me came from thinking of him making one, but like on the bottom of the above bunk, like sticking it in the like shitty springs and like red yarn from image to image. Just sounded so funny to me, and I wanted to lean into that.
Yeah.
Alright. Let's see, a question.
Yeah, I guess
Go ahead.
I never shared my character sheet.
dare
That
you.
wasn't intentional. I just didn't do it.
No, I think
I shared mine, but I just blacked out everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all redacted.
It was like
It was
redacted,
all like it
redacted.
literally was like Imani redacted,
Redacted,
stat
redacted.
redacted.
Enjoy.
A question to
Yeah.
Melody that she did answer was, Melody, since you couldn't make the last session, are you happy with what happened with Bethany? What would you have done if you could have made that session? And first off, I was all like really anxious about like her not being there and killing off the character without her there. Everybody gave me the green light. You can kill my character, but I'm like, different when you play the character and your actions kill your character than when I'm just like, hey, y'all just didn't make it in time and she died choking on a tentacle monster's tentacle.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which leads me to another thing you guys never learned in game that I had in the back of my head, but I'll tell you later. So her answer was, since I couldn't make it to the last session, and I am very happy with what happened with Bethany's ending. It was poetic and beautiful, and I cried multiple times. I think had I been at the session, Bethany would have used some weird telepathy mind tricks to somehow drive the aliens crazy from the inside, and then everyone, of course, would do the physical damage. And that's what she says. So I mean, at least I don't feel as bad about killing her character without her present. And we have a season 2 already planned, so it's fine. She'll be back. But yeah, before I forget,
we will rescue on this time.
Yes, we will. Before I forget, like what I was thinking about when it came to the aliens, something that you guys didn't notice either, or you didn't tell me you noticed, was the people who were dead and being mimicked by the creature seemed more real, had more clear memories, had more clear like understanding of things than the ones who were alive. And so the way I had kind of like understood, the way I had kind of thought about the aliens is that when they killed people, they essentially would like suck out their memories in their brain and all this stuff, and it would allow them to have a better understanding of that person's history so that when they mimicked them, they could have more insight. So when it was Queenie, she knew RJ, she knew Ricky, she knew who she was talking to, she recognized him, and she was very aware of him. And the aliens also recognized him because they were like, "Oh, we know this memory, we know what this person is." When the aliens turned into Bethany, even she knew how to talk to you guys in a way that made sense, in a way that was indicative of the character. And then by contrast, when they turned into Debbie, there was a stark difference between normal Debbie and Dark Debbie.
Right.
Because Debbie wasn't dead.
Yeah.
They hadn't taken all of
Oh.
who she was, and so they had her likeness, but they didn't have her memories, her thoughts, her like neurotransmitter patterns, and all that shit. So that was one of the little bits of lore I had in the back of my head as well, where anytime they were mimicking
Also,
a person.
We've said this 500 times off stream, but oh my god, Lex, your Bethany impression was uncanny.
Yeah.
Well, I
Pretty good.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that good. I was just kind of like, this is how Melody as Bethany talks, so that's how it is.
Well, I think, and it was Grant, I think, was the one who made the comment that it's also indicative of how well characterized Bethany was, how clear her demeanors and that were. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let me see. I kept mentioning how good the players were rolling, what kind of fucked up shit where was I hoping to inflict if they didn't roll well. I was hoping that, more hijinks would come about, things falling apart. I kind of hoped, Ross, you rolled poorly on like a roll during the battle to make sure that, the door was barricaded well enough in the arts and crafts tent or in the arts and crafts chat. I was like, I really hope I can get it so that this creature is able to escape, just to prove you rolled really poorly and you barricaded it wrong. But we still got that moment of it opens the other way.
So what you're saying is I should have failed more and gotten more experience.
Yes, of course. Yes, all the experience.
I think that we did fail in like really crucial moments.
Oh yeah.
Like, RJ failed all of his attack rolls in the final battle.
Oh,
so
I
it's
didn't
like,
even think about that.
Yeah, I didn't do any
Yeah.
of my normal damage. It was all like reactions. So it's
Wow.
like I think there's some things where it ended up working out, and the cool thing about always succeeding is when you fail, it like really hurts.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Yeah.
Because you get cocky.
I
You're
like
like,
that.
I'm gonna get this. It's gonna go this way, and then you go, oh shit, it did not.
Yeah.
I like that in the story way of RJ succeeding, specifically when he's protecting someone, though. That's good shit.
I thought that was really good. Like, I think Melody mentioned it in the Game Master Monday server when she was watching the last episode, where she said that she loved how you use the protect someone move and then turned it right back around on the same person, because you were like, I want to. And at first I was like, oh, are you going to turn around and attack Howie? But, I know that I'm fine with PvP as long as you guys are all fine with it. And you then turned around and stabbed his mom instead.
So good.
It was a really great moment where you twisted something that I didn't originally think about, in the best way. And then a couple questions, and then we get to the last one from Grant. Everyone seemed to have their own theories every week of what was happening, right until the end. What did you all think was happening before the finale?
Okay, so this is crazy because in the Magnificence group, I literally have a channel in the Discord server called Sparkle Emoji Rosie's Conspiracy Corner Sparkle Emoji. I had no clue. I really was like, even out of game, I know I was playing like somebody who was like ignorance is bliss kind of girly. I seriously had no clue. I could not figure it out.
I thought there was some kind of horrible Lovecraftian monster in the mountains, and after like the dog cat moment, I assumed that was just a red herring.
It kind of was, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of was, but like just completely unconnected.
Gotcha.
Is what I mean. And I just kept thinking that we needed to find a monster and banish it.
Right.
I thought skinwalkers for the longest time.
Yeah, that would have explained Dark Debbie. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was that's kind of what was doing it for me. I was like, okay, so there's some kind of shape shifting. I don't know. Now that I'm thinking,
when we saw the Link Sodi, I was like, oh, government science experiment gone wrong. and I'm like, I had it half right. Like
They
it was
were
just
experiments. Yeah,
yeah,
they were
they were
experiments.
experiments, but like
Let's
Yeah.
say
yeah.
they were alien government employees, just not Earth government.
They might have been. But actually, they
True,
kind of
yeah.
were. They were
I
like
kind of
sent
assumed they
on.
were.
They basically
They
were.
were sent on safari.
There you go, Ross. You were right.
Yeah,
Essentially.
they're basically like alien environmental engineers
Yeah.
and wildlife researchers. And then, are there any? Oh, did everybody answer that? I think so.
Taylor.
Yeah, Taylor did. Okay.
Taylor, did you have any theories?
She said Skinwalker.
Oh, right.
Right.
I was like skinwalkers, but I did like the skinwalker was trying to make a cryptic zoo. I think was what in my head. Like,
And
the
that
whole
was
place supposed to be a zoo.
yeah, and that was kind of like
Yeah.
towards the end. I was like that. Ultimately, if they decide to like let this place live, like this, like instead of blowing it up, the other option would have been like JFK being like, let's just start a little zoo for these animals or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was definitely something more messed up.
I think I was trying to connect it to Imani's demon stuff. I think is why I was so
Right.
confused, because I was trying to make it connected to Imani's thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I couldn't figure out where that connection was, and that was because that wasn't super connected.
That was the red herring.
Yeah.
Literally. Well, red, not a herring.
Right.
Yeah.
Are there any secrets or pieces of backstory that the characters had that didn't get to come up?
Chloe's parents. That's all she's
Yeah.
got.
No, I think I got it all out there.
Yeah, I think I laid it out pretty well.
What's up with Imani's parents? She said something about them not caring.
Oh,
Are they like two like workaholics?
They travel. Yeah, they're workaholics. Like they're
Right.
traveling doctors.
Yeah, your parents were like my parents.
Mm.
We
They just had that chaplain. Howie. But I was like,
not my parents, Howie's parents.
I was like, I don't know you, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like they travel around. So like Imani never had like a stationary place either to live. So they just had a bunch of houses all around. That's why it was easier for her to just get in the car and just travel energy wise.
Right.
Family would probably take too long to notice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the reasons that my stuff didn't come up is simply because it wasn't relevant. That was just me making myself sad in the background before the game started.
Yeah. I think it was the same with like RJ's family moving around. Like, it's not relevant. So, but it's nice to know it because, like,
yeah,
I don't think it's necessary. I don't know. Maybe it's a hot take, but I don't think it's necessary for all backstory to come out. But I think it's necessary to
100%.
have backstory so that you have a grounding.
Yeah,
like that informed a lot of that informed a lot of how like Chloe acted, honestly.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool just to like drop bits of it in passing and not
Yeah.
elaborate on it.
Our stories, our histories inform who we are today. And we don't go up to every single person we meet and go, "Hi, my name is Lex. Here is my entire story from birth till now.
I was born in a
Unpack
trunk."
that with me." Yeah, like they don't, like you don't typically do that, you know.
Yeah.
Some people do, but it's not.
Here's a backstory bit that I want to know. How the hell does Howie know all of this gay person theater stuff that a normie would not know about?
He's not a normie.
Clearly not a normie.
He's not the kind of not a normie that would be super into musicals, though, it feels like.
Well, he in game didn't choose a musical. He chose The Scarlet Letter, which seems like something that would come about. Right? I mean, I'm speaking for you, so.
Yeah, no, but that's true. Yeah, like with the plays, like I was dropping references of plays that were there that he didn't know, just because I thought they were funny. Like dropping in The King in Yellow was hilarious to me.
Yeah.
But like yeah, so I just went to theater references when I was like picking one that they would do that everyone knows that is way too inappropriate for like 8-year-olds. And The Scarlet Letter really, really felt like it hit home. It did in my brain.
It makes sense too because we all read The Scarlet Letter in high school, like around that age where we start learning about that, the whole idea of literature and what's it called? I can't think of words anymore. But you know, the idea of overarching themes and symbolism and all that stuff is fraught with symbolism.
I almost went for Madame Bovary. which is a novel which I hate. That not everyone quite reads, but like so is Too Deep a Cut, or like Hedda Gobbler. I love. Also
Yeah.
totally inappropriate for children. Absolutely perfect, but not enough people know it. I love Hedda Gobbler. It's so messed up.
I had like an
I-
after game bit of lore that I like had in my head of basically once the internet really became a thing, like Jordan would absolutely like you guys would have like a private little chat like on AOL on AIM and like until he could come out and like see Howie, he would be that would be where you guys would chat all the time because long distance phone calls still weren't a thing, dial up still happened. Um, you
Mhm.
had to you had to communicate over crappy chat rooms with dial up internet.
I'm just imagine them both getting to like 18 and then being on computers all the time and that getting them into MIT and like studying at MIT together being weirdos.
Oh yeah.
I'm just imagining Jordan's mom yelling at him to somebody else needs to make a phone call, get off the computer.
Get off
He's
the
like,
phone!
but mom, I'm talking to my boyfriend.
Oh my god! That's long distance. That costs so much more money. Please get off. Why are they from New York now? This was Colorado.
Wait until 9 p.m.
Yeah, gotta wait till 9 p.m.
You know that it's free after 9 p.m.
Gotta love
I
it.
I zoned out for a moment and I'm like, what would Jordan have majored in MIT? Probably
That's
some sort of like an engineer, most likely, maybe like sonar or like a discovery
Maybe.
Communicate.
method.
I
I
think
can
like
see
Jordan
him.
might
I
have-
can see him like being that guy who sends signals out into space.
Yeah, at
You know?
SETI.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was into aliens and crystals and stuff, and not in like a like psychedelic crystal way, but in a like, you know, things coming from other places kind of way.
Yeah, he
So
wasn't a
In a
crystal
goth
guy.
way,
He
yeah.
was
No.
a-
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
a crystal gay in the sense that he was like crystals are fascinating. Like I could see him doing all this like deep space stuff, but also having a minor in geology.
Yeah,
He's a
that's
right.
STEM gay, yeah.
Like,
He's a
like
I
a
will
material
say, I don't
engineer.
think
Yeah.
Juicy did not see Jordan coming, but some of us did because we had a conversation very early on about Juicy meeting a goth boy
Juicy
at the
literally
library
asked for
who
him.
ended up being a Lovecraftian entity.
I don't
Juicy
even
literally
remember
said
that
at the end of
part.
the conversation, we were all talking, and at the very end, I'm signing off, and I just hear Juicy go, "God, I really hope that I just meet a goth gay boy in a library in this little town." And this
Yeah.
was like
And we made
2
it
months ago.
happen.
Yeah, and I
And
was
it
like,
happened.
cool. There's gonna be a goth gay boy in the library, and he's gonna be a simp for your little zine, and you're gonna love him.
I seriously thought that Jordan was like the BBEG.
I
'Cause it's
wondered
like
if it might be, which is why I leaned in so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's
That's
just
a good
like the perfect
instinct.
positioning. Just a random guy that perfectly aligns with Howie's like
I just wanted to
Yeah.
like
likes,
how he
needs, and wants.
questioned this relationship. I was like, I just want him to be like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Paranoia. It's sowing
I
paranoia.
think if we had an extra episode, I do think Howie would have been like, "You're too helpful."
No, I was thinking it the whole time.
He's too coincidental.
We just
Yeah,
didn't
it
have
was
time
too
to get
easy.
into it.
It made
We're
too
here
much
now.
sense.
All right. We're going to wind down. Last question. It's from Grant, and I'm going to answer it from Melody first. So, Grant question. As is tradition, anytime Game Master Monday ends a mini series, we ask everyone, what was your favorite part of working with each member of the table? So think about that while I give you Melody's answer. So, Rosie, your attention to detail is impeccable, and you truly know your character inside and out. It's like you eat, breathe, live this game, and only this game. But I know you have a million things going on, so I am just in awe of you. Ross, the way you played RJ with so much emotion and vigor made for such a good fucking story, my friend. Also, the props for like everything, please, and amazing, and please always do this. RJ was also the biggest sweetheart for being such a quote unquote bad guy. So I suspect you two are also a sweetheart. Taylor, your makeup and horns looked really good every single show. And you kept upping yourself too, and it just worked. And Amani was the coolest person, yet not intimidatingly cool, if that makes sense. Like anyone could truly walk up and say hi to Amani, and she'd say hi back, not just other cool people, you know? Juicy. You have a way of getting into character that is captivating. I found you mesmerizing, and I would forget I was on camera myself. I would have loved to be friends with Howie IRL, not gonna lie. Too silly for words. And something to add for Rosie. Chloe's caring for Bethany after her death meant the world to me, by the way. In a way I cannot explain. It truly meant the world. Then she said, now I'm going back to sleep.
Get some rest, Melody.
Yes. And I'll end with my notes for everybody once you guys all go around the table. So anybody who'd like to go may go.
Let's see. Taylor, in the opening scene in the car with you, like there was such a delicious like back and forth that felt really natural, and that really got me into being comfortable with the entire cast as a tone setter, and I loved that so much. And then Ross, what I would say is that like watching you get into character and really lean into the emotions, like when you were reading the letter and when you had small moments, were so quiet and touching, and I really loved that. And then Rosie, you are an endless well of enthusiasm, and it tickles my heart. And Lex, thank you for yes-anding my bullshit so well. I know it's not easy.
I love it though.
I throw like left hooks sometimes, and you were excited about them, and it was so fun to play with you. Like that's why that Jordan scene felt so good, is because you were so willing to just yes and me and amplify it, and we kept escalating in little ways, and it was so fun.
Don't forget Melody. I know she's not here, but I'd love to give her some
Yeah,
props
sorry.
too.
It just flies out of my
I
brain.
know she's not physically on the screen, so it's always hard to.
We're all
remember.
very neurodivergent.
Oh yeah.
Melody fucking just was so weird in the best way. Like her physicality too, in just getting into the strangeness and like being such an oddball, it was a delight. Who's next?
I'm thinking, and then somebody says something about me, and my entire brain just goes blank.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hang on, I gotta start over. I got a compliment, and I had to like freak out about it for a second.
I probably should have sent you guys this question before we started, so you could think about it and have it written down like Melody.
I like watching everybody struggle.
Good. Yeah,
it's good.
Live contemplation is nice.
Yeah, just because I just love everyone here so much.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say, like, because I feel like I'm gonna say the same thing for everyone. I'm just gonna say what I'm kind of thinking in general right now is that every time I play with a table of people that, like, in my past less confident self would have given me like horrible imposter syndrome, I've really found that all the people that I've been surrounded with, and including all of you by far, I just walk away going, wow, they were so incredible, and I have learned so much, and I am inspired to try that thing that they taught me. Is really, that's been a huge experience for me as I've been doing this stuff, and it's in this, as well as like this is kind of my first like completed story arc that wasn't a one shot, which is really cool. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking in general. Let me shut up and think about specifics.
Okay.
Just the awkward silence on live.
We're just gonna like stare at each other.
I did like,
We're just gonna stare into each other's souls.
I just suck at words, man.
That is not true.
Listen.
I'm gonna give my props to Juicy while you guys are thinking, since Juicy's already gone. So Juicy, you and I have we've played games in the past together, one shots here and there with tabletop tail spinners. So knowing you were gonna be in this cast, I was ecstatic. But getting to see you delve into a character that is different from other ones I've seen you play, at least when I've been playing with you, was wonderful. And seeing you guess half the plot without realizing it was infuriating, but in the best way possible, where I just went, the thing is, they're not going to realize it's real until it's actually happening.
Mhm.
And then, dear God, you get into character so well. Like, even you just squinting at the sun in the very beginning when he comes out of the airport, and then little facial expressions as we're narrating that show how he was thinking in the moment. Beautiful. Um, it was just beautiful to see you get into this character. And you said I was good at yes anding. I loved how you were willing to just throw that at me without concern that it was going to be too much or anything. Because I love the yes and approach to DMing. Um, I really think that especially in games like this, it allows things to really shine and come through in a way that is valuable to the characters. So thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody else has got to go. I'll give
I
props
know,
after. I'll give props after
I-
after each one to the person who just gave it.
It's like,
I'm writing it on paper because I can't remember things 2 seconds after I think of them.
Fair.
dude, I'll go with GC first. Like, we got to play like a week beforehand and
Mhm.
stuff. So like, it was nice to know like your play style and stuff, and I can play off of that. And again, like making the first scene very organic and stuff, because my brain, I was like tailored towards the person like I already know like first. I want to connect and stuff. Unless I'm at a table with just all strangers, then I just try
Mhm.
my best. But I appreciate you helping me get out of my shell in first episode to be like, all right, cool, I can just full force in here
Oh,
energy.
absolutely mutual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like we kept on matching each other's energy. Like even the library when like Imana came with our whole plan, it's like, yeah, we're cops, supernatural cops energy and stuff. And like yes,
I
enemy.
love playing
Right, I
tone
forgot
chicken.
that. Yeah, yeah.
That was a good one.
Right. Talk about Ross.
It's like, all
That's
right,
me.
that's you, Russ. Like like again, we were strangers and we was like, oh my, I told you like my character's gonna have a crush on your character, and I'm glad you was cool with the energy. And we had those like deep moments of their friendship and stuff, and I never done that in a
Mm.
TTRPG settings, to having those like deep moments with another PC character and stuff. And thank you for making a nice safe environment to do so and bouncing off to you. And then Rosie, like you are just a ball of sunshine. That's like the biggest thing. Like your energy, top notch. Like it gets me hype so much in the game. Like willing to like farm XP to help the group too. It's such a like mind blowing, like that top level move. I'm like, dang, yeah, love it. 10 out of 10. Thank you. Uh Melody did did such a great job for being weird. That's all I thought too. She's like so weird, just in the beginning, because I didn't know the level of the magic too in the world, and it's
Mm.
just that Melody came out. I was like, yeah, Tabitha is
Telekinesis.
here.
Yeah, we're like, okay, I guess
I
this
was
is
like,
it.
Tabitha's here, man.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they're doing like a telekinesis and stuff like that,
Yeah.
just doing all the magic, and I'm like, all right, day one, magic.
Yeah,
So I was
everyone decided they thought she was crazy. It was amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
just
I loved it so much.
it's like, cause it's like Imani just thought, I was like, which is just not an imaginary friend for camp, and it's
Which is
real
just hilarious
energy.
given how you were literally a demon like
I
plaything. And you were like, she's
yeah.
clearly crazy for thinking that ghosts are real. Like, oh my god, that's so funny. Like,
Yeah, look,
we know that
demons is fine. This
demons.
seems the line. Demons is the
Yeah.
line. Ghosts, what? That's
Yeah.
so crazy. And uh, I was like, Lex, thank you for making the table a very safe place for me to get into, because like I was dealing with a lot of stuff in the TTRPG community and stuff, so I was very nervous from leaving one table to jump into this table, and I'm already my guard is up energy, and you let me put it down.
Well, on that note, Taylor, thank you for putting it down, at least as much as you were willing to, because you I didn't realize the guard was up at all. You came into this with so much openness that um, it just seemed like you belonged at this table to begin with, anyways. So why wouldn't we make it as welcoming and accessible to people as possible? Um, but also, big props to both Ross and to Taylor for jumping in so quickly when we realized we needed to make some casting changes. You guys jumped in really fast and not only like did your part, but you went above and beyond. Taylor, I think my favorite moment with you was not even in game. It was you sent me a message and were like, "Hey, I have some ideas." And I went, "Let's jump on voice chat." And you went, "I got 10 minutes before anime starts. Let's go." And we jumped on voice chat and talked about how Imani was going to come about. And yes, Imani changed as we got to know her in game. And so the plan for her changed, but the fact that I'm just really thankful that you were willing to jump on voice chat with somebody that you barely knew. And I hope to see you at other tables that I get to be a part of as well, because you are a wonderful person to play with, and a wonderful person to GM for. So, thank you.
Thank you.
What anime?
What was it?
I don't know. It was like a month and a half ago.
It was like this type of deep thinking. It was My Hero and Delicious Dungeon.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
Dungeon
Dungeon.
Meshi,
That's
yes.
so good.
If I pan my camera up, you can see that I literally have anime plushies on top of my cabinet there. I have not watched any anime in literally like 3 years. I need to get on that because I've heard Dungeon Meshi is really
Dungeon
good.
Meshi.
Yeah.
I
'Cause it's
started
like-
watching it. It's so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wednesdays are anime nights in a server I'm a part of. So
Yeah.
every time we finished Camp
Dope.
MeadowView, I went to anime.
You're like,
Hell
jumping.
yeah.
I was like, it's anime time, yeah.
You're like, I am done with being a scary girl. I'm here to gonna go watch the anime.
Yeah, me popping up as a red demon.
Yeah.
Anime.
Yeah, you're watching like Sign of Affection.
It's like
or whatever.
they always watch YouTube. They're West Coast, so I don't mess up their time schedule. So they can stay up late. So like I always just pop in there watching YouTube videos while they wait for me for anime, and then it's just jump scare.
I love the idea of like people just being like, Taylor shows up looking strange, but okay.
That's just that's Taylor. Like again, I showed up as an orc one time.
I love it. I'm here for
I
it.
love that orc that you did so much. It's so cool.
Yeah.
That was one of the first things I ever saw from you on like any of my social media timelines. I was like, oh, she's so cool.
Thank you. Maybe she'll come out of TTRG table. She has not. My orc. One day.
Ross and Rosie are up. Either one of you.
I'm still thinking on one person. I'm not going to say who. But...
Okay, and I'll go. We'll go different order. Lex. I think it is really hard to GM to like be in front of a group and to like do your best to coordinate and point and suggest. Especially with like Taylor and I came in, things have been changing and like adjustment had to be made. I think the quality that I want to learn from you and to like take from being at a table with you is the way that you protect the space. Like at the end of the series, you were talking about all these things that like you were worried about this and you thought about that and you had a lot of the story and this didn't come up and etc. But I didn't feel any of that during the moment. It was just like, here's the space, do what you want, and we'll kind of go along. And I think that is arguably the paramount responsibility for a game master or a keeper or a storyteller to like. We all have our challenges and we all have our worries and anxieties and all of that, but to be like a guardian at the door to be like, nope, that's not for here, and to give us the space to play and to imagine and to cry and to laugh, like that's means a lot. It's really hard to do, so I really appreciate it. Rosie, the thing that I want to learn and take away from you is how um, enormous and obstinate and challenging your energy is at a table, because like you don't you take the space that you need and that you want, and that's like I don't know, uh, you know, model minority trauma and all of this stuff. I'm like, oh, I'll take this space because that's what I have. But it's really cool for you to come in, especially with like, I didn't realize that you didn't have that much acting experience, and be like, this is what I'm doing. Give me all the XP. JFK, you're mine now. Like, and just trying to like elbow my way to be like, wait, I want to do something. Like, I think it's really cool because you didn't always do that. I think that's what was interesting. Like, you took the space that you wanted, and then you pulled back, and you let other people take that space. And it's like such a hard balance and tricky. Like, always difficult to keep that balance. But that's something that like, yeah, I like to play smaller characters or like more small
Yeah.
moments. But then I think there's something to being big, right? And
Yeah.
so
You say that, and I want to reflect it back at you because that is something that I am actually very intentional about. And it's so funny because I made a joke like, y'all think about that? Y'all, I feel like I'm very impulsive as a player, but also even before I got into actual play, I've always been aware. I've been told I talk too much for much of my life. I have very intentionally, I don't think it was ever an issue at a table, but it's always been something I'm very conscious of, that I can talk over other people on accident and such. And I very intentionally developed the skill of pulling other people in and knowing when to step back and give them their time and stuff. And it's so funny to me that it took until now for me to remember, oh yeah, that is something I do on purpose. It is very intentional, because what I wrote down for you is I love how almost every word you say feels so intentional and well thought out and just precisely to tell what it's meant to say, but also so incredibly genuine and heartfelt. So there's my compliment for you. Please continue.
thank you. Yeah. Thanks for throwing. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's hard to take compliments. Tay, I think the thing that I want to take from you, and honestly, everyone's like, "Oh, your props, your props." It's because I knew you were going to be at the table, and I'm like, hell no, I'm going to be left behind. Like, I needed to, I wanted to like run with you, right? And I think that's true across the table. Like, everybody brought something more than you would potentially expect at something like this. And I'm like, well, I need to catch up. And it's the whole, and with you, Taylor, like the way that you presented Imani, and then the idea of like a physical transformation over time, I'm like, that's fucking genius. And how that like, that your change is a reaction to the table, like the way that you think of physicality in a digital medium where we're not at the table is like really cool. So that's what was really inspiring for me. Like, it actually was when you said, hey, I think Imani and RJ would have friendship bracelets, and that literally, it was like a domino effect. I'm like, well, what else would RJ have? So if anyone's like, oh, Ross, you do great prop work, it's really, really thanks to you being like such a paragon of like the importance of your body and physicality in like this space is really cool. So yeah.
You say that, Ross, but I distinctly remember when we were recording Pantheon, you had multiple costume pieces next to you for improvised NPC.
I had a jacket and glasses. That's it.
You
I
had
took
two
my
pairs of
jacket off.
glasses. Don't sell
Well,
yourself
yeah,
short. There were
'cause
two
I have
glasses.
my normal glasses. I don't count
They
that
were
as
the
Normal
glasses.
glasses don't count, Rosie. They're like
These are
base
my
game.
eyes. Yeah,
These are
My
baking.
brand.
That's GLC. That's special.
yeah,
I was about to grab like 3 pairs of glasses, then I realized I actually put away all my eyeglasses before we started this.
yeah.
Yeah, all my props are gone.
Yeah, well, I have my glasses, and I've been fiddling with the drumstick. Um, and then Juice, I think the the just how I think it's like really hard to get into character just generally, but I noticed that though maybe it's true, maybe it's just like something that you've developed, but like you do something and then you're in character, whether it was like how we yeah, it was like
With the
the
hair.
squinting at the and then the hair thing, and then you dropping all your luggage in the first episode, or like physically moving around carrying a book. Like I noticed that there were like hooks for you, and I imagine I'm making a bunch of assumptions here, but I imagine that you play so many characters that you need a way to like get back into like, right, this person is like this,
That's
and
part of it, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I thought that was really awesome and something for me to learn how um, there's that trigger, and then the way that you pull that into some like depth and interesting characterization, and just like genuine care for the character you're playing is like so cool. Because like you could tell or I could tell right away that like Howie was cool to you. Like this person was interesting, and like and it's not that we don't want to play interesting people, but like we should also be GMs in some ways, and like cheer for the character and cheer for their downfall or cheer for their
Yeah,
success, and
that I was taught in the theater I did
Hmm,
to really find a way to love your character or
right.
find something you care about, because even when you play like a villain, there has to be a
Mm,
nugget of something that is relatable and something you care about to make it real. And I latch onto that. I kind of I
mm,
retrospectively I realize I was taught method in college,
mm,
and that's a big part of it. Like
mhm,
finding a physicality, or even like blinking into a character, like just
mhm,
a
mhm,
blink
mhm.
shuts things off so then I can enter that headspace.
Yeah.
And some characters are harder than others. Howie was easy because there's like a physicality to his movement. Others I need more headspace.
Right.
So like in All Our Faults, like Michael is a tough headspace to be in, so I
Mhm,
have to do
mhm.
more to kick myself into it. Um, with Howie, it was really easy to like find a tick and just lean into it
Right.
whenever I want to
Yeah.
lean into him. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that, like the way for a character to feel real is for them to have an anchor of love from the person piloting them. Like
Mhm.
that's such a cool way of like thinking about characters. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And then Melody, I the your timing is ridiculous. Like uh, if you did a straight up word count, like Melody is the Sleeping Beauty of our cast, where it's like 17 words the entire movie or something crazy. Yeah, but just like everything mattered. And then I think the thing that is really hard for me, again, being from like an audio podcast kind of focus, is that you need to act when it's not your turn. And I think Melody did such a great job at like reacting to what was going on, and like you can tell that she was having an emotional reaction that was genuine and interesting, and yeah, yeah, it's the biggest thing that I want to learn and take away from Melody is that it's like the act when it's not you, and what can you do with one word. Yeah, it's really really impressive.
Oh yeah, her
Men-
performance is very economical.
Yeah,
Menopause
yeah, yeah,
was, I
I'm gonna
think, one
get
of her
into that.
favorite bits.
totally. I was just like,
I
yeah,
have things to add to that.
Yeah.
I was holding up my notebook because you're saying some of what I wrote. So
okay.
Yeah. So Ross, my props to you are across the board on so many things. First of all, you made audio for this, which amazing. You created the growl of the Lynx Sodi gorgeously. And again, just like Taylor, you threw yourself into this with such little notice and with so much trust that I can't thank you enough, both of you. Um, something that I know on the surface, but seeing you perform, almost everybody, actually not even almost everybody here reminded me of this, but especially how you portrayed RJ. And it's something that I really took to heart was not only do you have to find a little piece of a character to love to embody them, when you create a character, putting a bit of yourself into them to anchor yourself, and you don't have to expose yourself in any way, be like, oh, here's all of my deep traumas, but finding a way to be like, I know this character because I am this character. And for me, so much of that came from how you and I talked about Queenie Alvarez, and when we were having those conversations about how that would come about. And you sent me the letter, and I asked you, I was like, do you want me to read it? If so, I want you to teach me how to properly pronounce everything because I'm not about to butcher Tagalog. However, if you want to read it, I think you should. I think that's 100% your choice. And you were saying no, I want to because I think I'm gonna cry during it, and I want to be the one reading it. And the fact that you were willing to not only cry on camera, but script something that made you cry that you knew was gonna make you cry because of your own experiences and how you were able to kind of take other parts of your own life into it was truly admirable and just gorgeous. Um, I think you don't give yourself enough credit for how good of an actor with this you are.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time we always kind of gave each other props for this stuff, and everybody's a little bit like, "Oh, it's okay, thank you," but you really did an amazing job. So hold your head high with all of that, and thank you for teaching me more about character development and putting yourself into that character, not just as an anchor, but as a source in a way. Last but not least, Rosie.
Hi. Okay, so Ross, you already got yours. No. But I did kind of say what I was planning on saying because I just felt like it reflected so well with Ross said to me. I was like, whoa, wait, hang on. Melody, and this is also kind of bouncing off of something Ross said. So when we had our first session 0, and this was before Taylor and Ross joined, Melody actually was the first one to really lock in on her playbook. She locked in before session 0, like on day 0.5 when we had just made the Discord chat. She just said, I'm playing spooky. She didn't really say much about it. And during session 0 as well, she was very quiet. She didn't really say much about Bethany to us. We didn't know how she was spooky. We just knew her name is Bethany. She's the spooky. We didn't know anything else beyond that at the end of session 0. She sent us the whole character sheet with nothing hidden after that. But I was a little bit, because I've never played with Melody before, I don't know her super well, but then we got into session 1, and she just immediately just blossomed and then immediately stabbed us in the kidneys in the best possible way. She has such incredible, I wrote down assassin energy in the best way is what I wrote down.
Yes, that's a good
right
way of
wording.
talking. That's a great description of Melody. That's so
yes.
good. Yeah.
We had decided when we were going through the opening questions that the monster of the week character playbooks come with questions that you can answer about the different characters in your monster hunting team. And the one we chose between Bethany and Chloe was, this is the person that introduced Chloe to the supernatural. Did not expect it to happen within 60 seconds of meeting her. Absolutely loved it. And I loved Chloe being able to go through, here's all the logical explanations I can think of. Within 24 hours, they've all been shut down. None of them, it's just telekinesis. I don't know what to tell you. It was absolutely fantastic. I want to play with Melody again.
Yeah, I put you guys together in that scene knowing that that was part of the prompt that you had for her, but not knowing what she was going to do with it, or if she was going to remember, because I didn't want anything to feel forced, and it didn't feel forced because she just did it. She was like, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
carry my own bags using my brain.
Yeah.
Yep. And you could tell, judging by how emotional I got in the last episode, despite the short time that we played together and despite the short amount of things that happened on camera, I really felt Chloe's care for Bethany. They really just clung on to each other. Chloe doesn't seem weird. She's just really sunk a lot of energy into masking and doing customer service. So yeah, I loved Bethany so much.
Yeah.
Taylor, oh, go, please, please,
Oh, I was
please.
gonna say, like, Lex, when you use Bethany, it transformed one of the bad guys into Bethany. Ross got very angry.
Yeah.
I was like, no, no.
I
So
was-
I was
it
kind
was so
of
good. It was
wondering
so good.
if I
Yeah,
don't
I was like,
remember what tipped me off that might happen, but that did tip me off that might happen something. I don't remember what it was, but I was genuinely like, what scared me was how uncanny it was. And I've said that 600 times
yeah.
now, but that was genuinely, I was scared because of how uncanny the impression was.
It was such a good move, but I
I
was
don't know
like,
if I could do that impression again without overthinking it, but yeah, I'm glad it worked.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
No, please, no worries. I'm glad you said that. Taylor, I absolutely love how much of a cheerleader you are for absolutely everybody. You are like the most low key, chill, but supportive person I have worked with.
Yeah.
You're just always there being like, yeah, that's sick. That's great.
Yeah.
You do. I really. Everybody's complimenting your makeup. I think every time we got into chat before we started the stream, you would come on, you turn your camera on, and be like, "Oh my god, you look
Yeah.
so good." So that doesn't need to be said.
Yeah.
So I really, even when we're not talking to each other directly, just like on social media and everything, I could just feel how much you like support everybody here, and I really, really appreciate that. And I hope that I can make you feel even half as much.
I'm going to tack on a little bit.
Yeah.
I love your projected ease of being so
Yes.
much, Taylor. I yearn for the ability to feel 1/10 of that ease you project, and it could be fake. It could be masking. I don't know. You're good at it.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
just like,
you said you
oh.
were anxious because you came from another table and you were worried. Didn't get any of that. You came into this and you could have told me that you were a hired professional, and I would have been like, probably.
Yeah, and thank you for all the suggestions you made and everything you added to this table. Like, genuinely, when you were the one who brought up the idea of making that one a fundraiser, and as soon as you said that, I was like, yes!
And on that note, somebody did send in, not a question, just wanted to say thank you for raising awareness for the Martha P. Johnson Institute. So,
Hell yeah.
thank
It
you.
was a great choice. Thank you for bringing up the idea. Yeah, absolutely. You say things that other people are just thinking a lot of the time, I think. And you make them happen. You make things happen, and I love that about you.
Thanks, guys.
Lex, I am, as a GM, very scared of going off the rails. And I actually, as chaotic as I am in actual plays very frequently, again, much like how I'm very intentional about how I'm interacting with other characters and making sure I'm giving them space, I also tend to metagame in terms of making sure that I'm not doing anything that's going to throw the GM for too much of a loop. And you're blinking very hard because you're going, Rosie, you're saying this, but look what you've done. And that's because you made me feel like I could. I didn't have to worry about like going too off the walls, being too much for you to like. You weren't going to resent me for being like, can we adopt the goat? It just felt you cared a lot about not only the story for obvious reasons, but also what the characters fit into, what they wanted. Like, I say what the characters wanted, and I don't really mean that in character, but I mean that in the way of what story is this character made for? And you have a good sense of that, and you really respected that, I think. So that's something that I really really admire about you. And Juicy, I kind of similar to what Lex told you. I love how much you lean in and you just keep going with something without worrying about, is this too much? Is this too much? You're just like, yes, I am going to make a summoning circle and I'm going to try to talk to it. And I love that so much. I love it. Again, I worry a lot about being too much. I'm very conscious of that stuff, and I just love how much you lean into everything. And you're not worried about like embarrassing yourself by sitting here with your glasses all askew and all your hair all messed up and all of that. Love it so much. Your confidence is incredible.
You know, my philosophy on like making big choices like that is, as long as they have truth to the character, they're not gonna be that they can't be purely annoying simply because they make sense somewhere, even if it's oddball. As long as it makes sense for the character's truth, that's why I like challenging those boundaries and finding those.
Yeah.
Rosie, you are not too much. And if anybody says that you are, they are wrong, and they need to go find less. First and foremost. And I love the chaos that you brought to the table in the best way possible, because it's already been said, you know, you stepped into the light, into the spotlight, you did your things, and then you would back away, and I would look over at everybody while, you know, two people are playing, or when two people are role playing, or if I'm role playing with one person, and I would see your face, and you would just be so engrossed in the story that the chaos didn't seem like it came from nowhere. It didn't seem to just come, you know, oh, didn't really care about what was happening. I just have this other thought and I'm just going to throw it out there and do whatever. The chaos made sense for not just you, but for the character. And it was so wonderful. So wonderful to. I'm happy that you were comfortable sharing it, A. And B, it was just so wonderful to have that energy at a table. Everybody here threw me for a loop at some point or another. Everybody did. But the fact that your loops that you threw me for didn't just stay at the table. It extended into the group chat in the best way. Again, the whole Black Phillip thing with the goat. I went and rewatched that movie to make sure that I was like remembering it correctly, because I was like, I haven't seen that movie in forever. I'm gonna rewatch it, and then I was like, I like the idea. I like it even more. I'd already committed to it, but I was like, perfect. You light up a table. You bring such beautiful light to a group. And again, if anyone says that you are too much, I really truly want you to stop and go, am I too much, or are you expecting less? Because you are not too much. Okay? And then my last note is going to be for Melody, who is not here, but I'm hoping she watches this tomorrow when it's up on YouTube. Melody, you are amazing, first and foremost, not just because you're a great role player. Thank you for communicating with me. You've been telling me, keeping me up to date with any kind of hiccups with your personal stuff, and that makes a world of difference. You know, it really does when it comes to something where we can't really change the schedule. So, first and foremost, thank you. It really helps. Plus, I'm not great at sudden changes unless it's, you know, I understand them when they happen, but I'm not great at them. So having as much heads up was really greatly appreciated. You guys didn't know this about Tabitha, and I don't think that Melody will mind if I share this, but where Tabitha came from was honestly such a cool idea that Melody had. She originally, when she was looking through all the playbooks, there's a picture. I'll actually find it in the book. I can find the right one. There it is. There's a picture in the book of like a little girl that's being possessed. And when we did session 0 and she was choosing the spooky, she was like, what if I don't play a counselor? I play a 7-year-old child and I play that. And I said, I love the energy, but no, because you need some of the freedom that being like in a position of power would give you. And also, if a 7-year-old was doing this stuff, it'd be even more deeply disturbing. And I don't know if that's something that we want to deal with, and it could touch some questionable boundaries. But then I was like, the alternative would be, what if you had an imaginary friend who never went away? And she went, that's perfect. And she ran with it. She came up with Tabitha doesn't speak. She uses a home sign system where it's just sign language that's not standardized ASL or any form of sign language, but a home sign system. She's just a petulant child, essentially. And that willingness to understand where I was coming from with concerns for playing a literal possessed 7-year-old, and then willingness to turn it around and go, cool, let's make it work in a way that makes everyone happy, was so wonderful. And we've said it so many times, the fucking comedic timing. You really are like just a sleeper agent. You just pop up, go menopause, and then you disappear. It was so perfect, and it was breathtaking. So Melody, thank you so much for everything. And also, we mentioned Taylor being a cheerleader. Everybody here has been a cheerleader for everyone else, and it's been really amazing to see. I love seeing the community that comes from games like this, and the friends that come from this. Because otherwise, I never would have met Ross. I never would have met Taylor. I already knew Rosie and Juicy from other games, and I vaguely knew of Melody from the server, but other than that, I would not have met many of these people, these wonderful, wonderful humans who helped me feel more confident back in the GM seat. A question that was asked earlier that I didn't answer was, Lex, you said this was your first time GMing like this in a year. Do I have plans to do more? I do not currently have plans to do more, but this was my first time publicly GMing in about a year. I've GM'd privately in the past year, but I haven't been in like the public TTRPG space, and I missed it. You guys reminded me why I missed it, so thank you. And on that note, we're going to be signing off here. And before I get everybody's sign offs, I do have an announcement from the Grandmaster Grant of Game Master Monday and the Grand Mistress Jenny from Game Master Monday as well, that I am happy to announce that the next Game Master Monday Presents mini-series is not far behind. Starting Thursday, August 8th, you're going to be joining us here for Burnt Creek, a 3-part Call of Cthulhu mini-series GM'd by Izzy, who you can find on Twitter at Nexodus99. The story will follow a party after their cross-country bus breaks down in 1920s Missouri as they try and survive the horrors that await them in the bayou.
That's terrifying.
I know.
Sorry.
I think that's, yeah.
I'm already shaking.
Starring Adam from 5 GMs in a Trench Coat. Amon from the Infinite Tavern. Irving from The Heart is a Dungeon.
Yeah.
And author Melissa C. Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, starting August 8th. So look forward to that. Game Master Monday Presents is going to be an ongoing thing, and I can't wait to watch the next whatever.
It's only a few weeks from now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So for the last time, this has been Camp MeadowView. My name is Lex. My pronouns are they, she. I've been the keeper for this game. You can find me anywhere on the internet at Lex Get Pizza. I'm on different TTRPG podcasts and shows. mostly here on Game Master Monday or over on Tabletop Tail Spinners, but I am sure I'll be throughout the internet. Why don't we start with Taylor?
Snap! I wasn't ready.
Why I
uh,
picked you. When in doubt, always look ready, and I will not pick you.
so I'm Taylor, aka Swanky Taylor. She, her pronouns. Camp MeadowView has been a wonderful experience. Can't wait for the season 2 announcement. I'm manifesting it already over here. uh, if you want to catch me somewhere, it's just been announced today that I can finally talk about it. I will be part of a campaign on So You Want to Be a Dungeon Master called MeadowView, where we're basically doing Greek gods go to college. I'll be playing your local bitch Nova, daughter of Poseidon. So if
Love
Nice.
you
that.
love
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
love
yeah.
Renee Rapp and Mean Girls, get ready for Nova.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Yes, I will be blue this time.
Oh, I was
Pumpkin.
gonna say Taylor Ocean era, Taylor Oceana coming up.
I'm a siren. So see you on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you want to be a dungeon master.
Rosie.
Hi, my name is Rosalie Mulliken. Please feel I know how to do my whole spiel, I promise. Please feel free to call me Rosie. My @ is Rosatyrs on all my social media. ROSATYRS, like Rosie and the little goat folk, and you smush them together and you get Rosatyrs. I am a cast member on Tabletop Tail Spinners Network, specifically on Magnificence, which is a dark fantasy Dungeons Dragon 5e campaign. We have 3 episodes out so far. That releases every other Friday. Also, tomorrow I am going to be on the Twisted Fates That's a really hard phrase to say. Twisted Fates Twitch channel.
Oh, yeah.
For their
Okay,
Candela
okay.
Obscura campaign.
All right.
We are starting chapter 2, the Scarlet Letter. Really?
The
Really,
Scarlet
Rosie?
Letter.
The Scar-
You got it. You
Scarlet
got it. You got
Letter,
it.
yes. I will be playing Cecily Rodick, and it's going to be terrifying. I'm working on a series of recaps to get caught up on chapter 1, but this is a whole new cast of characters, so you don't necessarily need to know what all happened in that first 5 episodes. But stay tuned for Rosie's recaps because Camp MeadowView started that, and I guess we're just keeping that going.
It's great. You should
Love
keep
it.
doing it.
We
I vote
stand.
you do it in character every time too. I love it.
If you run a stream and want me to recap your stream, hit me up.
Juicy.
Hi, I'm Juicy Garland, Boston area drag queen and super nerd. You can find me in a whole bunch of tabletop tailspinner stuff, including All Our Faults, a Monster Hearts 2 actual play podcast, where I play a sad boy vampire who ruins everyone's life, including himself. Or his own. I know English. Haha. I'm also in
Oh no,
way
it's
too much.
contagious.
It is, right? I'm in way too much stuff to list, but very importantly, I am running a live play at Gen Con, and I will be announcing the cast very soon now that I have populated it. I'm very excited to be playing Delta Green and get a little weird with it. In addition, I will also be on panels at Necronomicon if you're local to New England. I might do a live play, that's not certain yet. And
You
there's just
should.
too much
I
other
wanna
stuff.
play.
I welcome you to check out my socials at Juicy Garland or at Juicy.Garland for more.
Last but certainly not least, Ross.
Hi, my name is Ross. I'm the GM, co-host, and editor at Blades of Mayari. We are a Filipino-Canadian-led actual play podcast inspired by pre-colonial Filipino mythology. You can catch us anywhere you get your podcasts at Blades of Mayari. And Mayari is spelled Mayari. We're also on YouTube now, I guess. Uploaded our RSS feed there. I've been doing a little bit of editing, live editing on Twitch. And there's a project that will come out soon, and I can't talk about it yet. But please,
It's
look
Camp
but
Meadowview the sequel, right?
You look
Oh,
so.
kind of
Camp
killing me.
MeadowView.
I was gonna say you
I'm-
look so pained. You're like, I can't.
Give us a little
Say it.
sneak peek. Give us
I'm very excited for it. Yeah, I actually don't know when it'll be kind of out and ready, but keep an ear out. I'll be on another live stream, I guess pre-recorded live stream, playing a very fun big guy in a Southeast Asian inspired, like wuxia based system. That is, if you are one of the few who like fourth edition like I do, you will love this system.
Ori's cool.
Uh,
I don't care what anyone says.
Ori's so good. That's actually where I cut my teeth on role playing, ironically. Anyways, that is going to come out sooner or later, and I keep an ear out for it, please.
Coolio. And then just for Melody, she is online at Melody Has Cats. So feel free, not even feel free, you should follow her because she's amazing and wonderful and deserves it. Just because she's not here doesn't mean I can't plug her socials for her, right? So she is wherever you can find her, and she hangs out a lot in the Game Master Monday. She works in the game or helps run some of the Game Master Monday events, and is in their Discord often. So come on by to that, and that's also a great place to keep up to date on all things Game Master Monday and Game Master Monday Presents. Only thing left to say is one last great big thank you to everybody here, to Melody who's not, to Grant and Jenny at Game Master Monday for giving me and giving this group this wonderful platform to step into the live side of actual play and have some fun being some goofy kids running through the woods dealing with exploding monster bears. You know, I had some fun making some noises for the monster bear. I know that it was a good time just hanging out, and I'm gonna miss this stream. So thank you guys for making me miss something that was a lot of work and gave me a lot of stress, but in the best way possible. So thank you. And on that note, good night. Have a wonderful evening.
Good night.
And this is the end of Camp MeadowView.
Thank you.